Okay, welcome to the Meat Dudes, meat-obsessed, Wagyu-focused, source-driven, barbecue-influenced. I'm Evan.
I'm Tyler.
And today, oh boy, we are actually with Kevin Smith of Beast Cleaver and The Little Beast. And we're actually in The Little Beast, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, thanks for being here. Yeah,
A repeat offender. It's his second time.
Yeah,
on
it
the
is.
podcast,
second
right?
time. We're over here now, not over at your place, right?
Yeah,
So,
we
thanks for
traveled
coming.
to you, man.
Hell
we
yeah.
traveled to you.
Hell
So we're actually sitting in your new restaurant. It's been open about a month. It's called The Little Beast in Ballard, Washington. So give us a little bit of the inspiration, because it's great. I love it when we talk to you, because you do weird shit, we do weird shit, and weird meat shit. And so give us your inspiration for this place, and give us a little bit of the menu. What's the menu like? Now, let's talk about it, because we'll get it all into it. I love it.
So to be honest, I didn't even want to do this. To be honest, we didn't want to do it. We were looking for a production facility for our butcher boxes, which have taken off, and we needed more space for production. We didn't want a restaurant, but then we found this place, and it had a restaurant inside of it, and we started building it out for production, and then we were like, it's stupid not to do this. We had the electrician look at it, we had the plumbers look at it, it's good to go.
It's all there.
Paint it, and you're good to go.
Dude,
so
seriously.
we already had all the old equipment, so we were like, all right, we're gonna do it. What's it gonna be? I wanted to do a pub from the age of 16. I wanted to have a pub.
Yeah.
So we've created a pub, really. Pubs have got these different variances, right? If you go to England, there's really shitty pubs where you just go and get drunk and get into fights and stuff, and then you can
eat your mushy peas.
Eat your mushy peas and really bad food. Then you got your middle pubs where they're food's not so great, but it's good atmosphere. Yep. Then you got your pubs where you go and there's the best food you can get. There's 1, 2 Michelin star pubs, blow your mind. Everything's made, the best beers, all that stuff, and that's what we're going for. We're not we're going for a combination of I hate white tablecloth food, so we're not doing that. But it's
comfort and class.
Yeah. Pub food done properly,
Yeah. And it's all stuff that you kind of grew up eating, because you're from England, right?
From London, yeah.
From London,
You were from Texas this whole time.
Yeah,
Hell
yeah. So this is the stuff that you grew up eating, you grew up making, bro.
Yeah.
And so, give us a couple of dishes on the menu. I know you got some meat pies, but what do you
Tell me about that. Tell me about the lamb.
Oh man,
the lamb one.
bro.
Lamb pie is
That shit
insane.
was dope.
Yeah. So we're bringing in lamb necks, and we're grilling them, braising them overnight, and then picking them and throwing them into a korma sauce, right? Korma is curry is one of the most known things in England these days. It's up there. If you look at the most eaten dishes in England, it's curry. Curry is up there.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What type of curry?
Well, curry can be vindaloo, jalfrezi, korma. There's tons of different curries, right? We're doing korma. I learned to make korma. I had loads of amazing friends back in England who Indians and Pakistanis, and I learned a lot of that stuff as a kid. Yeah. And I think we make some of the best curry you're gonna get, and then we put it in a pie. So it's our little fun take on it, right? You can go and get nice curry here, but you can't really get a meat pie here done properly with hot water crust pastry. Yeah. And then our little fun take is taking modern English food and putting it in a pie, and it's fucking good.
Yeah. It looks awesome.
We'll get you one. I think we have some. Yeah.
Yorkshire pudding.
You only do 40 a day. I don't want the Yelpers out there to get pissed.
Don't get me started on Yelpers.
Hey, we got to hold off on that. Let's not get into that quite yet, man.
Poking a sleeping bear over here.
Dude. I mean, it's true, man. It's true, dude. So give us, obviously you own the butcher shop, Beast Cleaver, super amazing butcher shop in Ballard.
Yeah.
And so you do a lot of, unique, or not unique things, but you do a lot of English style butchery and pâtés and things like that. You bring in some of those cuts, those unique cuts that you do and everything. Like I see on the board back there, you're doing zabuton, you've got bavette, you've got 120-day dry aged stuff. What's going on with that? I know you got a huge facility for that. So.
Yeah, no, so we're bringing in a whole beef on a Monday. Sorry, a side of beef on a Monday, and we're breaking it down, and it's all gone. It's Thursday. We haven't even opened, so a lot of it's going straight out to the butcher boxes, and then we're taking. We broke
went through a half a beef in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, and we haven't opened yet. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then we basically broke the beef down into 3 tiers, right? So there's like A, B, and C, or 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to call it. Tier 1 is like tenderloins, New Yorks, ribeyes.
Sure.
Tier 2, your Denvers, Zabatons, flat irons, bavettes, outside skirts, all of that stuff. Top sirloin, flank. Then you go into tier 3, the lower end cuts, your brisket, your top rounds, your bottom rounds, your sirloin tips, shanks, all of that. And we divide that, and then each person in the butcher boxes gets a selection of those at a certain weight each week. Then we're taking the remainder of that stuff and putting it on the menu. So like Scott, who used to be just been running Bateau for the last 6-7 years, the butcher up there. So I've just basically said to him, we need 60 steaks. I don't care what they are, just make them look great, and we'll put them on the board and we'll sell them.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we've got the dry age facility where we're bringing in, we have a rotating stuff over there, so it's constantly in rotation of like 100-day ribeyes, 100-day New Yorks, 100-day T-bones, porterhouses, and they're always on the menu. So they're like the 4 things along with pork chops that are on the menu. And then whatever comes off the butcher boxes that we don't want to send out, maybe there's only 4 flat irons, and we can't really divide those between the 60 people.
Yeah.
They'll go on the menu.
Dang,
Kind of
man.
makes sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
cool. So you're doing like 120-day dry age steaks.
Yeah.
How are people? Are they looking forward to that? Is that a surprising thing to them? Because it seems a little bit different, right? For being in Seattle, and people are like, I just want my ribeye.
And
You know?
not in a steakhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So how are
Yeah.
people approaching that, or how people feel about that?
People are loving it. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, our prices are great. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at what we're selling that stuff for, there's nowhere in Washington that can compete with the prices we're doing 120-day plus steaks at, you know. It's
Dang.
killer prices.
And for the quality.
And for the
Yeah.
quality, we know where the beef coming from. We know what it's been fed. We just like you guys,
Yeah.
we know everything about it. We start it. I mean, it comes to us at 21 days, and then everything from there, we know what we're doing with it. You know, and so people are going nuts over it, and you know, we're treating it simply. We put salt on it, and we grill it, and throw some butter on it, and that's it.
Good to go.
It's good to go. Yeah. Start with a good product. You don't need to do much, right?
You just keep it easy, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I know you're all about, and just like us, about ethically sourced and sustainable. And so, like, you're just working with tons of farms all around Washington and the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yep.
It's still the thing, you know?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Everything we get, the only thing that doesn't come from Washington is the A5 Japanese Wagyu that we bring in, and foie gras. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else. We get some lamb from just over the coast in Oregon. But yeah. But
Dude.
we also get...
Which you should.
Yeah, but we also get lamb from the islands as well. You know, we got like mutton and hogget back there from San Juan Islands. You know, yeah. But 90 to 95% of our stuff is Washington, and we know.
Really?
Yeah.
So we can't.
And you know everybody.
Yep.
That's
Yep. We know the farmers. We know what is fed. We know where it's coming from, where it's been slaughtered. We know everything about it.
Dude,
Yes.
so
that's what it's all about.
So we can't skip over the 2 hot button items that you just talked about, which was the A5 Wagyu beef and the foie gras, right?
Yeah.
So the A5 Wagyu beef, what are you guys doing with that?
We don't do much with it. We just like slice it into 8-ounce portions and sell it. We just grill it. Finish it with rosemary and shio koji, and that's it. It's just like we serve it. Every steak comes with like a slow roasted onion. And that's it, you know. And then we sell it at the shop. Customers want to buy it, so you know we got a great contact with that. We cut out all the middlemen, and we get like New York's ribeyes and Zabatons. That's it. And
the A5.
that's it. It's ridiculous, right? I mean, you guys know a lot about Wagyu, right?
Yeah, we love it.
But I mean, my knowledge on that stuff is it's some of the most sustainable beef in the world, because they're only allowed 50 animals, right? To be A5 BMS 12, they're only allowed 50 animals on a farm. They have to be raised for 5 to 7 years. Is that right?
I don't think it's that. It's about 36 I'd say the average is about 36 to 40 months.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's still a lot longer than like your average.
Yeah,
commercial
yeah.
beef, it's about 3 times longer, 2
Yeah.
3 times longer. So
Right.
yeah, it has to be raised so well and so.
Yeah.
What's amazing
so
to me
much
is
care.
like when I get a chunk of a ribeye or a New York strip or whatever, they're fucking huge.
They're massive.
Oh yeah,
The
they're big
muscle
animals,
is-
dude.
Yeah.
Insanely big.
Yeah. They're like 3,000-pound animals, right? They're massive. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Normal cows, what 800 to 1,000, and they're like
8,000,
and they're
Dang. So what about this foie gras too, man? I think that like I was talking to CN, who we all know from Preservation Meats, and I was talking about how they're sourcing the foie gras, and so where do you get that from?
We get it from upstate New York, La
New
Belle.
York. That's the farm he talked about.
Yep.
Yeah,
La Belle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The spot.
it's the only place we can get it. We were getting it a few years ago from Montreal, but for some reason we can't get that anymore. So, as far as I know, there's 2 places upstate New York. There's Hudson and La Belle. We're working
Hudson's
with.
kind of the granddaddy.
Yeah.
La Belle was one he was saying. Right?
Yeah, La Belle's great. We
Yeah.
get the La Belle foie. We get grade A, and then we get the C grade, which is like the offcut, the chunks.
Make
And
your
we'll
moose and your
make our
terrines, right?
mousses, terrines, all that stuff. It's a fantastic product. Yeah,
It is.
It's a great product. Yeah.
I know. I want to go up there and visit it because he's telling me that the way that they're fed is not the way. A lot of people think that they're force fed. He said that they actually.
Here we go.
Yeah, I know. People are gonna get this, but it was really interesting the way he was talking about it. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
But it was basically like the ducks. They would come over, and the geese would come over, and they would open up their mouths because they're hungry, and then they just give them the feed.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're like cramming these funnels down there and like.
They're not burying them in the ground.
No.
Yeah.
That's like
Back
an old
up
wives'
and-
tale. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody
Force
probably
feeding
did
them
that.
until it
Yeah.
explodes.
I mean, I'm sure
come
somebody's
on.
done that, but like it's
Yeah.
not the normal practice.
But like
French.
talking about talking about livers there. If you look at like chicken livers, we get our chickens from through the food hub. We get these amazing chickens from Kersop Farm, and we'll buy the livers off of those. And Osprey, again, we have like limited amount of chickens we bring in because there's a chicken season, right? It's not like chickens don't just live in the middle of winter and that. So we get, I think we only allocate like 30 or 40 birds a week. But we take the livers and you look at the chicken livers that come off of these animals and they're dark red, right? And then you look at the livers that come off of a duck and they're slightly orangey, right? And but then you'll look at some chickens and the livers off of some of the bigger chickens, they're a little bit more orangey. So all you're noticing with like a really crappy chicken, say from a supermarket, which I'm not afraid to say, the majority of those
Or shit.
pretty bad, yeah. But the livers on there are dark red. If you look at a good chicken, it's slightly orange. And if you look at like a duck, like a free-range duck coming from a little farm by the sea, their livers are like yellowy. It's getting closer and closer to foie gras.
Yeah.
And all that's telling you is that the animals have been running around a bit more, picking up, eating more fat, right?
Okay.
So yeah, it's just interesting when you look at how big a foie gras piece is, and then you look at like a really crappy chicken liver. If you want to talk about humane stuff there, it's a whole subject, So don't be just hating on the people who are using foie gras. They should be really looking at the supermarkets that are serving chickens that are 1 and 2 weeks old, never seen the daylight, got broken legs. That's where rather than
push our energy towards.
right.
Do you know how big a foie gras liver is?
How big? I don't know.
Like a lobe is
3
pounds,
pounds, 2.5 pounds.
3.5.
Yeah. 3.5 pounds.
Big, dude.
Wow.
Right? And chicken livers are like
Those are small. A few ounces,
couple
right?
ounces,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
yeah.
Don't know why I went off on that little rant, but I just wanted to.
No, I love it, man. It's cool. We want to cover all meat. That's why I love when we talk to you, man. We talk about everything, just from butchery styles to just every piece of meat, because you're really involved with a lot of different cuts, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. You don't see that very much, dude. And we have our butcher shop at Lady Jane.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, do you have this and this and this?" And we're like, "No, we don't. We're smaller." We're like, "Go to Beast Cleaver. Like, go down." Like I said, so many people to you, yeah. But we're
That's
like,
so
dude,
kind.
go
Yeah.
down there, man. And I know you guys send stuff If you're like, you're in West Seattle, come up and see us, man.
Honestly, we have people coming in for sandwiches, and I'm like, go over to Lady J. Like, honestly, I tell all the people at the shop, like, I have a handful of restaurants I really like in Seattle, and I'm always the people over at Lady J crush it. The seasoning is always bang on, and it's a long way to go for a sandwich from here, but it's we love what you guys do as well. Yeah, we do.
Right back at you, man.
Yeah.
I know. We'll have a little love fest here. Love it, dude. So what what's one cut, like a unique cut that maybe you've turned into a really cool dish that people would be like, I would never eat that, but man, I gotta try it here now.
Whoa, real quick.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the Toro at some point today?
Yeah, I know. It's on the list, dude. It's on the list.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
We'll do that.
Okay, we'll do that.
Oh, yeah. I think we got some back there. I can
we'll talk about it, dude.
tell Sian all about it, yeah.
Yeah, what's an off cut that you've taken and turned into magic?
The top round.
For sure.
Yeah, top round.
So where's that on the cow, just so people know?
It's like the bicep femoris, so it's like the big teardrop muscle on the inside of a leg, So it's like coming off the back legs, big 15-pound muscle, known as London broil, right? One of the stupid name. You don't get a London broil in London, and you never broil it to start with. So like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to London and ask for that, it doesn't exist.
They're like, fuck you.
So we changed that into, we had fun with it and changed it into the London Royale just for fun. And we cut it into like cylinders and do like 6 to 8 ounce portions of it, and we treat it like tataki. We like cook it. We don't even cook it. It's like crisped up on the outside. It's completely raw in the middle, like 48 degrees in the middle.
Yeah.
Cooked on the outside. We'll slice it paper thin, brown butter, shiokoji.
I love it.
If you put that next to any steak when people eat it, it's as good as any steak on the animal, and it's the cheapest cut. And we kind of proud of that one. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's cool. I love how whenever we talk to you, we talk about taking some cut and cooking it super rare, and it's so funny because like you just don't see that anymore. Like in restaurants, like you do not see that. Like, people are like, nope, we're cooking it to 140, 150. You're just like, Jesus, man. But like with you, like you're like, no, this is how it's supposed to be. I know I get quality meat.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. I know our meat purveyor CN will just eat it raw. He's like, no, it's good meat. I'm gonna eat it raw. I'm like, I don't know if I go that far, but but like you're always talking about like how I feel like you prepare things in such a classic way. And you don't do it for people who, like, I feel like if someone came in here and goes, give me that well done, you'd be like, yeah, you should probably order something different. Because I don't think it's like your spot. Yeah, it might not be your spot.
We are, we don't, the servers here don't ask how people want their steak cooked.
Yes.
But we're happy to cook it any way they want, like.
Sure.
If somebody will say, we want it well done, all right, great. You can have it any way you want. You're paying the money for it. It's suggested that you should eat this 130-day dry age New York on the rarer side, but you do you, Yeah. No, we're
step on it.
Oh my god, dude. I love that, man. It's true. I like how that's kind of like us. We serve our burgers the way we serve our burgers. We don't ask them, how do you want it cooked? No, it's gonna be that, like medium rare to medium. That like if somebody wants it well done, we'll do it. But, you got to make the customer happy.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It is
that shit's hard
definitely
too.
suggested.
Yeah,
I got to tell you.
To what? Make customers happy?
Yeah,
that too.
That's a lifelong lesson that I'm still trying to learn.
Right.
No, because like the way that we make the burger, it's like custom cut it, custom grind it, custom patty it, super slow smoke it. Yeah. And when you super slow smoke it, it gives it that smoke ring and that pinkness.
Yeah.
And even if somebody does come in and be like, I need that mid-well, like it takes for a long time for that to even like look to them as mid-well, because it has that subtle pink ring and all that stuff.
Do you just smoke it? You don't cook it after? It's like just
smoke it and reverse sear it.
Okay.
Reverse sear it to order.
Great. I never tried that. Do you do anything to the meat? Do you just grinding it? You add in like just some salt to help it bind, or is it?
Not even. So I'll do. It's either F1 or purebred.
Yep.
On chuck rolls.
Yeah.
And I'll cut zabs and a couple Delmos off.
Yep.
And then grind the rest.
Yeah.
And I do a half coarse grind, I coarse grind the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I take half the meat and then I put it through the medium grind.
Yeah.
And then I mix it up, patty it, squish it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then
season it.
Salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, celery seed is the bovine seasoning that we use.
Nice.
And then slow smoke it.
So simple. Yeah.
To 130. Pull them. Hold them in the hot box.
Unless health department's listening, then it's 150.
Yeah, we take them all the way up there.
All the way up to 150.
All the way up. Yeah, well done. Yeah.
God damn.
I need to try one of those. Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, because as you know, as a butcher and a meat pro that you are, when you use that freshness of meat, you still have that natural hemoglobin, natural glue.
Yeah.
So when you do that coarse grind, that medium grind,
sticks it. Yeah.
It sticks together because all those muscles want to get back together, right?
For sure.
So it does. Yeah. So I've never had to use any sort of binder or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's good burger.
Yeah, no,
I'm a burger freak.
It's a good burger.
Burgers, yeah.
It's
I love burgers. Yeah.
It's Wagyu.
Yeah.
Wagyu, man.
That
Makes
helps.
makes everything better.
Hot words. Wagyu, dry age. Hot words. Yeah.
Hot words.
Yeah. You should do a dry age Wagyu
There you
burger.
go.
There you go.
Oh, I know they don't do that very much, huh? They don't dry age Wagyu. They don't want to lose the product.
I've actually been kind of fiddling with it the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Are you gonna do it?
With the grind.
Oh, okay.
So, because I process 5 to 6 Wagyu chuck rolls a week, just because the demand of Zabs in the case is just nuts, dude.
Zabs,
nuts,
man.
yeah. People love those, yeah.
But yeah, I've been processing 5 to 6 a week, where I used to only do like 2 or 3, and I almost started getting ahead to the point where I spread all my cuts out, the eye and all that stuff, and let it dry age for like 6 days. Get kind of tacky.
Yeah.
When we can, we buy the whole legs. Well, we buy the whole Wagyu carcass off of preservation.
From Bar R?
From Bar R and from the Klingerman stuff and the
awesome.
authentic. The authentic stuff is insane.
Oh, yeah,
We just got a ton of that in, actually.
Nice, dude.
But we'll buy the carcass and we'll take the shank off, leave it in the dry ager for 150 days, and then we'll do our dry aged Wagyu burger pop up with that leg. And they're the ones that
that's
so. And then people are like $18 for a burger. Yeah, I know, but it's 150 days dry aged Wagyu. It's like it's
Come on, dude.
yeah. It's 18's pretty fair.
When's the last time you went to Jimmy John's or Subway?
It's been a while.
You go get a foot long and a bag of chips. It's 18, 20
it's gonna
bucks.
be $18.
Oh,
yeah.
shit. All right. Well,
Don't feel bad about that.
That's funny, dude.
Don't feel bad about that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Wagyu, what do you when a customer comes up and thinks Wagyu is just overpriced fatty beef, how do you help people understand it a little bit differently?
Yeah, I mean, like at a butcher shop with that stuff, we're educating people in the nicest way that it's like intramuscular fat, right? It's we know just by looking at the marbling and the marbling being the fat that runs through the middle of the muscle. Then you've got the lean protein there. You know that how that is dispersed through there, that it's going to be good. There's no way it's not going to be good. It's so I think just that simple explanation to people is like the amount of intramuscular fat in there. Yeah. You're going to have a steak that is going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
It's more expensive because it's such a rare animal to get, especially if it's coming from Washington, especially if it's been raised to 4 years, like 3-4 years, like some of those ones are. They take the spine out, full blood. It's going to be more expensive. You can get Wagyu in supermarkets here as well, and you look at it, and it's nowhere near what Wagyu should be. Wagyu is being like thrown around now. It's like there's so many variations of it, and it's been bastardized. It's like it's just come down, and the stuff that you guys get and that we get, it's the real stuff.
Totally.
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot, and that's part of the certification, the new certification program that we really like.
Which is great because when you're selling a 150-day dry aged Wagyu burger, to a lot of people they're going to be like, fuck you, dude. That's bullshit. That's a scam. You know, like it sounds like it's blown up, but that is legit. You took that thing, and you stored it for 150
half a year.
days,
Yeah,
you know?
almost half a year we let it there.
Nuts, dude.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, you know, let me talk about that dry aging real quick. What happens in the dry aging process? Because I think that not a lot of people understand that. They think it's another thrown around term.
I think the easiest way to describe it without getting into too much science is it is evaporating moisture or water in the meat, which intensifies the beef flavor. That's the easiest way to describe it.
Concentration.
Concentration. It's almost like, you know, if you know, you got the pellicle growing on the outside, you got all that natural penicillin growing on it, which is the good mold, right?
Yeah.
That's being converted essentially into umami, MSG. Is literally what's happening inside of that.
Wow.
It's just changing the flavors, you know. It's similar to koji, right? Koji is the other killer thing that does that. It's so good, So that's how I'd describe it, you know,
I like that,
without getting too sciencey on it.
Scaring people, right?
Yeah.
I know we get too meat nerdy over here.
Anaerobic environments and all that kind of
stuff.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. You get corrected if we talk about that. There's a lot of people out there who...
I love getting corrected.
Oh, do you?
I do. I don't give up.
Dude, I know, man. We get the most comments stuff. We'll talk about the comments at the end, but we get the most comments when we cut A5, because people just it's such a crazy thing. They just love it or they hate it, you know. And when they hate it, they hate it, you know.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that because it's just so funny to me how a lot of people just don't understand what it really is. They don't understand good meat in general. When they go to the grocery store, they see that they can buy 2 top sirloins for $12, and they don't understand that that's really poorly raised meat. It's not, doesn't have all the nutrients.
It almost looks like liver.
Yeah.
And like we say, some people
basic beef and those really lean cuts.
Yeah,
if
no
someone,
matter how good of a cook, you can't make those taste good, can you?
No. And if that's all you can afford, I totally understand that, right? But one thing that you said on our last podcast that really stuck with me was that we're not trying to get people to eat more meat; we're trying to get them to eat better meat.
Yes,
and I think that to me, that is, I repeat that on a weekly basis. I'm like, you can come in and get a $18 zabuton that'll feed you and somebody else, and it's a great steak. It's going to taste good. It's going to have all the nutrients. It's going to be well raised, and you don't have to go out and spend $100 a night. Doing something.
You don't. You don't need a £2 ribeye that costs you $40. That's enough. That's going to taste really bad. Get 6 ounces of something for $14.
Yeah,
and it's good. Eat less meat. Eat good meat. We tell customers that all the time. You don't need that. Get that London Royale there. It's $9. $9.
That's
great,
so crazy, dude.
Buy it, yeah.
And I love on the big chalkboard back there. You have the zabuton on there as a steak, man. How do you guys prepare that?
Pretty much, we just got crazy hot grill there. We'll just salt it, grill it, make a massive amount of demi. Everything gets demi. Before we color it on the grill, put it in the oven on a little hot plate with a chunk of butter and rosemary. Warm it through in there, and then just demi and onion. Easy,
It's such an underrated cut, man.
So good, yeah.
Now in Seattle, I think it's picking up a little bit more, but it's such an underrated cut.
Yeah, because of us.
If you're gonna take credit for the Toro, we're gonna take credit for the Zab.
No, we did it. We're not gonna take credit for that, but we have introduced it to a lot of people.
Good,
and dude, I swear to you, that is the number one. I would say ribeye is number 1, New York is number 2, just because.
Yep.
But literally, we have more people coming in to buy Zabs.
Dude.
Week.
Oh yeah.
It's the gateway drug to Wagyu. Our Wagyu Zabs are the gateway drug to Wagyu because you can buy them, like I said, for like $12 to $20, man.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the best steaks you'll ever have.
You know what my favorite is right now? Wagyu, like a full blood or even a purebred Terrace Major.
Oh yeah,
Wagyu Terrace Major.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, we love that Terrace, man.
I love it, dude.
Hey, are you familiar with most of the Wagyu we get in here is Japanese black?
Yeah.
And now there's the Akaushi, which is Japanese red or brown.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to a few people lately that that are farmer ranchers of the Akaushi, learning a little bit more. Do you know much about it or the difference in flavor?
I know a little bit about it. I mean, Wagyu literally translates as cow, right?
Yeah,
it's
Japanese cow.
Cow.
And then there's 5 main breeds, which I don't know what the 5 main breeds.
I think there's 4. There might
4?
be 5. If you Google it says 4,
Yeah.
and I think that's.
I don't know enough about it. I get a little bit confused, to be totally honest. I get sent lists, and it will be like, I look for the scores. The BMS 12 is what I'm looking for.
Yep.
You got all the olive stuff. You got the snow beef. I don't know what that is. I haven't paid enough attention to it.
Yeah.
Olive, snow. I don't know. That sound like.
I think they're black.
I think that.
Yeah, that's probably the Japanese black. This is what they're fed. Yeah, because there's the Japanese black, the red, which is the Akaushi, the pulled, and the shorthorn.
Yeah.
And we did, but like the Japanese black is like 98% of what we get in the States,
Right.
And that it in layman's terms, it like marbles the best, And I hear the Akaushi might be like meatier. And although I talked to Steve from Legendary Akaushi, he'll be on the podcast after this. He's our interview. And he claims it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
He goes pretty hard on it,
all
man.
about it.
He's a great dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I love all Wagyu. Let's make that clear. But I've never tried it. We never tried the Akaushi, man. So I want to get some in here. The
I don't know enough about that. Yeah.
It's
We
a
had
whole thing.
we had legendary Hall of Famer NFL football star on the podcast,
Joe Thomas.
last week. Joe Thomas.
Yeah.
And he was talking about just kind of really getting into his craft, and he retired from the NFL and decided he's going to raise some cows.
Yeah.
And now he's
In Washington?
no, this is in Wisconsin.
He's in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
And he's going to get some Dr. Sheila's beef from Vermont.
Vermont Wagyu is a huge one on the
Wagyu
East
is a
Coast.
huge one. She used to be the president of American Wagyu Association.
Yeah.
But he was talking about, he had Akaushi. He was fiddling around with like Chianina and like the huge white cow from Piemonte and just like, God, this guy did his math, dude. I was just like, he was saying things like, "Fuck, how do you know about that?"
Dude, it's kind of crazy to see some of these crosses come out because I mean, like we think of Wagyu, we just think of like marbled beef, but there's so many different variations, and that's something we love to talk about too. Is just the amount of different cuts and the different types of Wagyu, from A5 to full blood to purebred to F1 cross. Like, what's your flavor? What's your pick? And then now the different crosses. There's going to be Akaushi, full blood and purebred. I mean,
it's a whole thing, right?
It's a whole thing. So there's so much education to go on. It's not just fatty beef.
The latest education that I think I started looking at a little bit, and because of CN, was the amount of the meat clusters around the intermuscular fat, and why the sizes are different and all this stuff, and it's all about the feed, right?
Yeah.
I think it's
So
about,
when it's corn or grain or whatever finished, because that bulks up the muscle in between the intermuscular fat. That's some, like, I don't know enough about to talk about, but
No, I thought
it
that
kind of blew my mind a little bit, because
Yeah.
I was like, well, yeah, you see that right there? You see that? Oh, that's because that's corn
I
fat.
thought it was also down to how the animal was eating. Like some animals are going to eat more than other animals, and if a specific animal has got big chunks of fat in it, it's because that animal's been like eating too much at one time, rather than the other one that's been steadily eating.
Yes,
and I don't
it's
know
like
how much they can
so
control
finished,
that.
right?
Yeah,
it's finished like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It tastes real good though.
I can't wait for the comments. I can't wait. Somebody's going to tell me what I'm wrong about today.
All right. We're coming back in now, and the restaurant is opening, so we're going to have some action going on here, dude. But Kevin brought out a couple of dishes, man, because we want to try some of this meat and some of this English-style cooking, man.
Yeah.
So what do you got here, man? What are we looking at?
Got a sausage roll. So it's like a Cumberland sausage with. We normally do it with pork, but we had so much beef, we did beef and pork.
Yep.
Yorkshire puddings. They should be big, light, and airy like this.
These are perfect.
These are perfect. Yeah. We make 350 a week.
350 Yorkshire puddings.
How many tins do you have?
A lot. I don't know. There's like 7 or 8. Each one does 12.
I've got 1/6 one at home.
Oh man.
At my house.
Dude.
I did a great video with these with chef steps actually.
Oh,
We went like deep into the science on it, and they're a fucking thing, and like
Dude.
the amount of variables with these is insane.
Yeah.
Like 20, 30 degrees temperature.
Humidity.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
Why is that?
It's something to do with the gelatination of the starches and all of that. If there's not enough heat, they won't puff up.
Okay.
I'll let Chef Steps explain that.
Yeah,
deep
right.
science
Yeah,
better
that's
than
all
me.
good. What's in it, though?
You know how these are made?
What's in it? I don't.
So you got to get your tin. They're this shape.
Yep.
Screaming hot.
Smoking hot. Yeah.
Smoking hot.
Smoking hot.
Okay.
Beef fat.
Yep.
And then pour the batter in. Basically, for layman's terms, it's like a pancake batter, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much just milk,
And
eggs.
you pour it in, it immediately gets a little caramelized and and then into the oven, and it does this puff and a little bit of a fall.
Yep.
Ooh, bro.
And these are fucking perfect, dude.
That looks.
We had a
Smells so good right now.
customer say the other week that they're too dark.
They're too dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
So what do you say when someone says it's too dark?
Say thanks. That's what they're meant to be like. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is what they're meant to be
Thanks,
like.
motherfucker.
Yeah. Dip it in the curry, man. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Be a little like ASMR.
So
eating.
fucking happy about this right now. There you go, right there.
So what is it? What kind of curry is that?
Kulma. So this is a roasted nut. Oh man.
Come on, man. Come on. That's good, man. You like
I love that.
You do it's so many unique things, and as restaurant owners, we know that's tough. So how do you do all these crazy unique things on a daily basis and keep up with demand? Because that's got to be like one of the hardest things, right? Is keeping up with demand for all these unique products.
Yeah, I mean, keeping up for them these things are easier to do. The meat pies like this, it's a 2-3 day process to make these.
Wow.
And then you got to braise the meat. You'll make the pastry, chill the pastry, roll the pastry out, chill the braised meat, put it in here, bake it. It's like at least 2 days, usually 3 day process. We can make 40, maybe 50 a day.
Wow.
And we'll sell them out. And it's so much work, you know. It's hours of work to make these things.
People don't realize that.
And then people come in and we're sold out and like.
It's also skilled labor.
Skilled, yeah.
Skilled labor.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nuts,
beautiful.
dude.
You want to try it?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hold on. I just got the wind just hit and it brought that sausage roll right over here, dude.
Oh, you ready? You want the sausage roll? Give me that thing.
Oh,
buddy. Seriously?
Dude. You cutting in it. So what's in that meat pie right there?
So it's a lamb neck, been braised on with the kulma sauce. Garlic, chilies, ginger.
Lamb curry, dude.
Dude.
Yes.
So lamb neck, is that like the copa when we're talking about the pig?
It's actual neck.
It's actual neck.
Actual neck, yeah.
It is neck, dude.
Yeah. Neck, because they got longer necks than pigs, huh?
Yeah, they do, but
Yeah.
they're so small. I mean, what do we got? We split them or get them whole?
We'll get them whole.
Get them whole.
Yeah,
so
we'll
they're
just raise them whole.
3 pounds?
3 to 5 pounds, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Hell yes.
It's cutting that up, dude. I'm getting ready, man.
Get in there, Ev.
Oh, man.
I gotta get some pastry, dude.
I know you.
You like spicy?
Oh, you know me, dude.
Yes, I do.
So what is this menu? What is this called again?
The chili or the pie?
The pie.
Lamb neck kulma pie.
Damn, dude.
Good, right?
Ah, man. Like, that's
I love that.
that curry, dude.
I love that so much.
Meat curry. That's so good.
I love that so much.
I'm so glad I live close to here.
I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get some fire back here, and you're gonna be mad at me.
Go for it.
I'm not the biggest lamb fan.
That's okay.
He's not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I eat everything,
Yeah.
and I'll try it 100 times to make sure that I'm sure that I like it or not.
Yeah.
Livers, tongues,
Yeah.
everything. Lamb neck. I really like a lamb top sirloin.
Yep.
Right? Because it's way less gamey, way more meaty. It's got a good chew to it.
Yeah.
But like, everyone's like, oh, lamb chops. I'm like, no,
Really?
not my jam.
That's fair. A lot of people feel like that. And
I'll eat the shit out of this.
kind of,
You're all over it.
Grew up eating lamb, you know.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, go nuts, man.
We're gonna lose him in a minute, dude. Have you ever seen somebody eat that looks like they're in pain?
No, bro.
Dude, he doesn't.
I'm like a master chess player while I'm eating.
It's because you're the middle child.
I know where I'm going,
You're
bro.
always fighting for your food at that table.
man,
Your older brother's giving you fucking elbows and shit.
No, I'm just a really good, efficient eater. That's how I like to say. I'm very, very
You do
good.
excel at eating.
I love that.
So good.
I love it.
That's
So
crazy,
good.
man. That's like crazy good, dude. Like,
Yeah, it's so good.
I mean,
That's so fun, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean,
It's so fun.
we used a little lamb neck at Radiator, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we used a little bit of that lamb neck.
We do. Lamb neck sloppy Joe.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
People loved it.
I'll bet, yeah.
Loved it.
dude. I don't eat a lot of lamb. I don't know. I just don't have it a lot. But this is. I will come back here and I will order this for sure.
You're a fitness freak, dude. Lamb's a good meat.
Is it good meat?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice, dude.
Hello.
Man.
I want to dive into this baby right
Yeah,
here.
get into that. So that's a sausage roll.
Yeah.
And I love it. I asked Kevin, I go, what is that, beef or pork? And he's like, I don't know. I just told him to make really good sausage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I fucking love that
Yeah.
you said that because you know that these guys are gonna take they take their craft very seriously. They're gonna make the best shit, and it's gonna be amazing, dude. So like, sorry, you're gonna get what you get because it's fucking awesome.
How is it?
It's fucking seasoned perfect, dude. And that's my thing.
Yeah.
I actually did a little bit of a tutorial today on
great.
how to make fucking potato salad, which is pretty layman, honestly. But I explained to my sous chef, I'm like, listen, this is how I do it. You know, you perfectly roast or boil the potatoes, you chill them, you cut them, they're all very consistent. I'm like, and then I season the potato,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Salt, pepper, whatever you're gonna do. And then whatever veggie, I'm going to put celery in there. So I put all my diced celery in there, and then I season the celery, and I do it in layers, which sounds kind of ridiculous for making fucking potato salad, but like,
God, man.
you have to,
Yeah,
right?
Season, don't add all the
And
salt at the end.
potatoes are such a porous thing. Like, I'm going to re-season it tomorrow before I serve it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
People don't get that shit.
No, they throw all the salt in at the end, right?
Right.
What's the top seller here? What's the biggest thing in this house?
Meat pies.
The meat
Scotch
pies.
eggs and meat pies.
Yeah, Scotch eggs. Yeah, that's right. How many of those?
How many of those suckers do you sell?
Oh, man. 200 a week. 200 in 3.5 days.
3.5 days, man.
Yeah, 50, at least 50 a day. They're so time consuming. We got them
Oh,
all.
dude, it's such a labor of love.
Do 6.5 minute egg, dropped straight into ice, peeled straight away. Then we make the sausage, wrap them, bread them, deep fry them.
And you got to be so delicate.
Yeah.
Because you
Can't
can't
break
break
it.
that
Yeah.
egg.
No.
You got to be so delicate.
Yeah, they're the hardest thing. I think we figured out how to make the pies and that. They're like it's just a little bit of technique. Scotch eggs on a mass production, getting them all soft. It's fucking hard.
Wow.
Scotch
Yeah.
eggs are hard. to do.
Hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, difficult.
A lot of this stuff is, man.
Yeah. No,
Like,
this
a
is,
lot of the
this
stuff
is
on this menu
definitely
is hard.
what I love is that this is like polished pub fare, and somebody who hears me say that is gonna be like, "Oh, fucking
Thank you.
pub fare,"
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, no, dude.
This is-
This takes fucking attention to detail,
Yeah.
attention to skill,
Exactly.
attention to rotation, like all the things that makes a good restaurant a good restaurant.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
This
Thank
is
you.
fucking awesome.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, really appreciate it.
So
I'm
good.
so glad. I'm so
Yeah.
glad we're here, dude. Like, this is nuts,
Oh, you guys
man.
can sit down and eat after.
I
if you
didn't
Oh,
eat
we don't-
anything all day.
Yeah, we're
want.
gonna,
We'll
dude.
get you dinner after. Yeah, sit down. Yeah. Come sit at the bar.
I'm gonna bring my kid here for his kid. My kid's going off to college in a week or two,
Oh,
so
shit.
I'll bring him here beforehand.
Just let me know. Yeah.
Evan's 4-year-old will eat an entire zabuton.
My 4-year-old daughter will eat a whole zab,
Amazing.
like a 10 ounces, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta stop her.
She's
But
a
she eats
monster.
only Wagyu. She's like,
She's-
steak, daddy, steak.
She's a monster.
Dude, it's so good, dude. Well, let's grab a cut and let's talk about the know your cut, man.
I'll go
Let's
see
do-
what we
grab
got.
whatever you
Yeah.
got, man. Let's
I'll
go.
see what we got.
Nice. All right, let's get back into it here, man. Know your cut. So Kevin just brought out this beautiful steak cut right here. Asked us what it is, and Chef Tyler nailed it.
Boom.
The ranch, bro.
I love the ranch.
We
dude.
just did the ranch too.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great.
I took. So when I'm in a hurry at home, I'm cooking for my kids.
Yep.
I gotta fire up the Weber,
Yeah.
Turn the propane on, push the start button, get it hot.
Yep.
I'm not lighting coals. I'm not fucking burning wood.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I took some Wagyu ranch steaks home.
Oh, man,
From Bar R, from
Oh,
Marley's
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And 2 of them, a little bit bigger than that. And they took on the char, and oh my god,
Yeah.
dude, they were fucking luscious.
Oh, they're great.
Dude, so what do you love about the ranch steak?
Cheapest cut on the animal,
Yep.
cheapest steak on the animal. It's we sell it at $14 or $16.99 a pound.
Uh-huh.
So this is 8 ounces. This steak is $8 to $10, and that is enough for 1 to 2 people, in my
Absolutely.
opinion.
Yeah.
I could eat that no problem.
Or my
It's
daughter.
delicious. It's the tricep muscle of the animal, so it's coming from the front arm of the animal.
Shoulder clod, yep.
Shoulder clod, yep.
Oh, it's a tricep. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the tricep. The third muscle's a little tough, so that gets taken off and goes to like sausage grind. But
Yeah.
this is fantastic steak. In butchery classes, we'll break the animal down. We'll select a load of steaks, and we'll do like a blind tasting. This will beat ribeyes out for like 60% of the class.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like, what is
I
that?
love that so
Is it because it's meaty
much.
or what? Like, what is it about?
It's just got great texture.
It's
eats,
tender.
Eats like a New York.
It's
Yeah.
tender.
Eats like a New York. It's killer steak, yeah.
It looks like a New York almost. Yeah.
Like a top sirloin New York. Apart from that little sinew there, it's fucking delicious.
Yeah.
Man. Great steak. Yeah.
When we talk about the shoulder cuts, because I like to talk about them all the time.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
There's so many in there that are stickable items
Yep.
Yep.
in a working area of the animal, right?
Yep.
This is definitely one of them. And honestly, I think, other than the flat iron, because it's the second most tender cut on the animal
Yeah.
entirety,
Yeah.
I think it's that one, dude.
That and the zabaton.
Zabs, of
you got the
course.
zab, you got the terrace.
Yep.
There's so much good stuff on the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
The whole chuck. The Delmonico's coming off of there. The
Yeah.
terrace minor, the underblade.
Yeah.
All of those are killer. But
You're telling me there's terrace minor and terrace major?
yes, sir.
God
damn
what's
it.
the terrace minor?
It's on the opposite side of it. It sits right next to it. If
On-
terrace major is about
on the blade?
6. Yep. If terrace is about 6 to 9, 10 ounces. Terrace is what, 6 to 12 ounces. Terrace minor is like 4 to 6 ounces. So it's a bit smaller.
Petite fillet.
Yeah. It's a really good little steak. Yeah.
I'm coming over for a shoulder butchery class.
Come in, man. Love
Yeah,
what
dude.
you're doing. Yeah.
Damn it.
Come in.
Yeah.
You
that'd
know
be
what
dope.
we should do, and we've
Yep.
been thinking about doing this like with my staff and that, but it'd be fun to do it with you guys. Is we want to teach a class in here on a Wednesday night where like I'll break some beef down and somebody cooks the steaks, and then we have some people come in, do some whiskey and stuff.
Hell yeah.
We should do it,
Does that
dude.
sound like a plan?
Let's do a Wagyu. Yeah.
100%.
Oh, hell yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
All right,
we should
let's-
fucking
yeah,
totally do
let's-
that. Like, no
let's do it.
bullshit.
I'm
Yeah,
out.
we'll do it on a Wednesday or Tuesday night or something, when whatever works for you guys.
Yeah, let us know.
We'll call it
easy.
the Meat Glutton Club or something
Yeah.
like that, right?
Right. It really is.
All right.
All right.
Hello. It's a real restaurant
got some-
podcast.
Yeah, some crazy people, crazy person just walked in. Okay. Wow.
This is all super good, man.
Dude, Tyler can't stop talking about that, and he doesn't even like lamb. That's
I'm
amazing.
not a lamb dude. No, I will continue to eat that. I will
Eat
come
as
back
much of
and
it as
eat
you
it.
want,
I
yeah.
love it.
He went back for that, man.
And a
With
Yorkshire,
gravy, you know.
a good popover.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. Dude, I love it. I love it. All right, the ranch steak, man.
I love it.
How you guys cooking this?
Same on the grill. Pretty much all the steaks, we just hit them hard on the grill,
Yep.
char them, chunk of butter in the oven, 2-3 minutes, leave them rest, slice them, demi-gloss, done. Salt, nothing else. Salt, and that's it.
Salt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's good. You start with a great product. Let Mother Nature do the work,
Let
right?
it,
Yeah.
let it sing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, dude, I love it. So more people would like Wagyu beef if they didn't know about A5.
Yeah, I think they would.
You think you believe that? Would you get on that? Get
Yeah.
on that little hot take train?
Yeah, I think there's too much confusion about it,
Yep.
and I don't think the US or the rest of the world has done I think Australia have done the best job of explaining Wagyu.
Yep.
I think the US are getting there with
Yep.
it. You know, like a lot of people aren't sure what it is, but they know Japanese Wagyu, and then it's a little bit confusing for a lot of people here.
It is. It is.
From what I get.
Yeah.
I got into this last week, And Evan and I have both talked about this a lot, and we would really appreciate a worldwide scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
Australians got like the 9, the plus, the other things, right?
Yeah.
Even in Canada, we've got the A++ and all that. It's very confusing for everybody. I mean, somebody that really wants to actually like try to figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, even talking to the doc last week, she's like, well, yeah, there's now 4 different prime ratings.
4
and
prime ratings.
And she thinks it's great. And I was like, is it though?
There's 4 different ratings of prime beef.
Prime levels of prime, yeah.
So there's prime. What's
There's
the
like
rating?
it's like low, medium, high, and plus or something like that.
Huh, I didn't even know that. We don't.
I
So,
feel like
I mean,
it's changing like all the time.
Right there, dude. You are a meat dude.
Yeah, I don't
You
even
know so much about
You
meat.
know so much about it.
I don't even know
and
that, yeah.
is that kind of confusing?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Right? So
Yeah.
I would love to see like a scale. Even if we're just going to go the beef marbling score,
Yeah.
BMS.
1 to 12.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
does your beef land? Yes, is it Wagyu? Is it super prime? Is it whatever? But, sorry, I digress.
No,
But
no, I like
like,
that. I like it.
because like prime plus is what going to be like a BMS, 7 to
7?
9.
Yeah,
you know.
probably.
But like, why
Yeah,
don't we just
probably.
say it's BMS 7?
Right?
Yeah.
You know.
And then
People would
when
get
you
that.
start talking about the F1, the F2, the F3, and the percentages and da-da-da-da, that's also confusing.
It's
Kind of,
It's
you know?
so confusing.
it's like
All of
wine,
the
right? Like-
F1 and all that is.
Dude, people get
yeah.
confused when you talk about wine, right? Like they're like, "Oh man, this." I mean, you can get the general idea, but when you listen to a sommelier talk, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, "I have no
Holy-
idea where to start." You
holy
know, like
shit.
I'm almost like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But wine has done a very good job as we've talked about, of like clearing that up. But
Yeah.
with Wagyu, we're all talking
back,
different.
Back to your original hot take question.
Yes. Do you think A5 scares people?
I do,
Yeah.
and I don't want to get crazy political or anything on this shit, but like, we're so fucking bullheaded as Americans that we just
Bro.
love American shit. Period.
I was literally gonna ask you that.
You know?
It's like nationalism, like hurting
Seriously, like
Wagyu beef.
So
Right.
if there
You
wasn't
know?
if there wasn't a lineage of this cow
Yeah.
from Japan that's superior to the cattle that we're raising here
Yeah.
in the United States,
Oh yeah.
if let's just say there wasn't a nomenclature, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't a Wagyu nomenclature, and somebody went to the store and saw BMS 10 ribeye, and they're like, "Holy shit,
That looks awesome.
where did that come from?"
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
Right? I think that as Americans, we are so proud of everything
Yeah.
and that culture
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
that we're almost obtuse to accept that there's better things.
I've never thought of it like that. That is
Outside
a
of it, you
really.
know what I mean?
It's so true.
As someone who's not American, that is a really, really enlightening and interesting, and I can see what you're talking about there.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of people just go like, "Oh, no, fuck, just give me that 100% Angus ribeye.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Just give me
That's
that.
what I want for dinner every day."
I want American
right,
beef.
right.
Like
Hold
they'll
up.
say that. I want American
If
beef.
I put a,
Okay.
let's just air quotes, American Wagyu ribeye
Yeah.
in front of a even prime Angus, and be like, bam, which
Yeah.
one do you think is going to taste better? And they're going to be like, well, that one's got more fat on it. I'm going
Yeah.
to have that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, duh.
It's a lot of it's
Yeah.
raised in America. Yeah.
And it's all genetics, dude. It's not like
Yeah.
we're better than anybody.
Yeah.
It's genetics.
It's just genetics,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
It's just they just grew over there. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait for the comments on
I
that
agree,
one.
dude. I agree, man. I think that we get a lot of comments on that A5, and people are like, no, it's too fatty. I don't like it. But then you're right. If you show them like a full-blood ribeye that just looks beautiful, it looks like something that's more marble than they've seen in the store, but not like 50% fat, they're like, that looks like the best steak I've ever seen.
How
Yeah.
bad?
So-
How badass is that purebred preservation
Oh.
or the
Klingerman stuff.
Klingerman?
It's insane.
Those New York strips, dude,
I mean, we got a load of it in.
bonkers good,
Dude, this-
I mean,
and they're gorgeous.
I love it, dude.
Yeah,
That
and,
Klingerman
and
stuff.
it's like local stuff. You know, we got that in the shop at the moment, and we've got authentic stuff. You know, and I'm
Yeah,
like, customers
Authentic's
are
insane.
saying to customers, this is like from Washington. This
Yeah.
stuff. You know, this is some of the best beef in the world.
Yeah,
I would
it
agree
really
with you.
is.
In
I
the
would
world.
totally agree with you.
It's as good as like beef anywhere.
I know.
You know, we got A5 and we've got that, and you're putting them close, and there's not much difference.
It looks pretty close.
They're pretty close, you know, pretty close. Yeah.
I hate the name Authentic Wagyu. I hate that name because it sounds like it's they're like, hey, this is authentic. Like you're like trying too hard, right?
All the other stuff isn't.
It's authentic, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. I love it. I love it, dude. Hey, last thing, Kevin. Last thing. I'm gonna read this comment of the week, and it's a cool little discussion. So on TikTok, we get this comment. It's on the A5. We're cutting the A5, and there's thousands of comments now. One guy goes, and a lot of people say the same thing. You want the meat? There's none in that. Get a ribeye. And I think it's really funny because Tyler's cutting an A5 ribeye. So he's cutting a ribeye, but people just assume that that's not a ribeye, you know? Because it's not the same ribeye that they've seen in the grocery store. And I just think I want people to understand, like, we're pushing so hard to understand there's so many different levels of Wagyu and so many different levels of beef in general, right? There's select, choice, prime, Wagyu, F1 cross, A5, And I just think that we get so many of those, like, I just want a ribeye. I'm like, okay, well, what kind of ribeye do you want? Because there's some really cool, you might like an F1 cross ribeye that's going to be way better than any Angus ribeye you've ever gotten in your life.
Yeah.
So I want to open up that discussion about just the different types of meat, the different types of ribeyes that are actually out there, especially with Wagyu.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, like, that's... I was looking at the shop today, and we had 4 different types of ribeye in there. We got the pure country stuff, which was like on the lower end of marbling. It's always going to taste good, but it was lower end animal this week in terms of marbling. Yeah, still a really good animal. Yeah. Then we had another animal that came in from them that we called it was like ultra marbled. Yeah. It was so marbled, but it wasn't Wagyu. Same breed, same farm, same everything, genetics, right? Yep. Then we opened up the authentic Wagyu, and I was like, holy shit, this is practically Japanese A5 BMS 10 or something. It was that much. Then we open up the A5, and you're like, this is white. This is pure fucking white. Yeah. So, I mean, there's 4 different ribeyes there. Yeah. And you got the dry age stuff, you put the dry age in there too. None of them are bad. None of them are bad.
Let me ask you the question real quick. Yeah. Because I see it a little bit. You do way more processing than I do. Right. Way more. But there, every now and then, I think it's a seasonal change. It has to do with the heat, has to do with the weather, has to do with the grass, has to do with the how much they're moving and all that stuff. And every now and then, because like pure country, like I can't toot that horn enough. Like, that so product is best fucking
beef and
amazing.
Pork, that is so
easily.
Good.
Every now and then, I'll get a ribeye or a strip or like whatever, and I'll cut it and be like, "Whoa, this is totally different." Yeah, the texture's different. Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, I don't want to be offensive or anything, but it's like almost like squishy tender. Yeah, and the marbleization is not really different. There like it usually is. And I've talked to Cian about it too. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is genetics. Yeah, and because you have some of those concentrations in the animals that they're raising out there that are like, dude, some of just the regular ribeyes that we get from them are like
insane,
nuts. Yeah. And then every now and then you get one of those, and it just makes me question. I was like, how the fuck does that happen? And I'm not a fucking rancher, farmer, science guy, like.
I think of it as just like humans, right? I mean, if you get one of those animals, then it's like it's uncommon, right? So if you look at the majority of humans, if we all led the same type of lives, we all ate the same type of stuff, we all slept the same stuff, we're all gonna probably look pretty similar, but you get the odd one in there who is insanely muscular, right? No matter what he does, he just goes.
That's Jim.
he doesn't do anything, and he's got these insane genetics, and like he eats the same as you, but he gets up and he's got a 6-pack and he's got massive biceps, and he's not done anything. I think that's how it works with animals. That's true. In my knowledge of it.
So some of those animals are like pro athletes, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, hey, this guy's good genetics, and
you just have one out of the pack that's like, God damn it,
that DK Metcalf.
He's bigger than you in junior high. He's jumping higher.
But we talk about summer beef a lot at the shop. Summer beef is like it comes in and it's more marbled, 100%. Really? I think it's where they're finishing it differently. closer to
I think they're storing their fat differently because it's so hot.
Could be, yeah. I'd like to know more about that, actually.
Or the grass, the nutrients in the grass in the
Could be that,
summertime or something like that.
maybe they're getting more barley because the grass is drying up. You know, these questions I don't know the answers to, but there is definitely a thing for summer beef, and it's more marbled for sure. Yeah.
Damn, man.
That's all I got on that. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, dang, dude, Kevin.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
We can wrap it up here, man.
Okay.
I mean, is there anything else people really need to know about the Little Beast or anything you're doing, man?
No, I'm just happy.
What's your hours over here?
Yeah, what's your hours and days?
Thursday through Saturday is 4 till 9, and then Sunday is only Sunday lunch, and it's noon till 5:30.
All right.
Closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Doing all of our production for boxes and stuff.
Yeah, what's your website?
Little Beast.
Little Beast?
Yeah, the
littlebeast.com?
Little Beast Ballad, yeah.
Littlebeastballad.com. And then people can go in there and order meat boxes if they're local.
Yep. Yeah, we got big radius.
You got a delivery company? They gotta come pick them up.
Table 22.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Table
22.
Yeah,
Nice.
so you guys work with, right?
That's what we do,
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, easy.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
Well, God, thanks for hosting us,
Thanks,
man.
guys,
This is so cool, dude.
Buddy,
This is such a good spot, dude.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited, man, to be here.
You know when someone actually likes the food. Like, I can see in your face that you
yes,
really like
man.
it.
No, that's good, dude. That's good. And, you know, we love meat, but, man, that's good. Dude, the pastry on that, too, is, unreal, dude. So, yeah, you guys are doing it all right, man. Everything you guys do right, man.
It's still got crisp to it.
I know, dude. We're going to go back. I'm going to go back into that, finish that right after this, man.
I know you are. I'm just going to hand you the plate.
Oh.
Some food? Do you want lunch or dinner?
Yeah, I might get a little something, man. Yeah, dude. I love it. Well, hey, stick around because we have Steve of legendary Akaushi coming on the podcast next. We did a nice little interview with him. So we'll learn all about Akaushi. And stick around for that. But for the meat dudes, we're all out, man.
Thanks, guys.
Honorary meat dude, Kevin. Thank you, brother.
Fuck yeah.
Peace. Thank
And
you.
appreciate it, man. Welcome to the Meat Dudes. We're meat obsessed, Wagyu focused, source driven, and barbecue influenced. I'm Evan, and today I'm really excited. We are joined by Steve Cottrell of legendary Akaushi. How are you doing? See, did I say that right, Akaushi?
You did. That's amazing. Thank you so much, and it's a privilege to be here. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Me too. So we learn a lot. I mean, we are doing a lot with Wagyu beef. We talk a lot about Wagyu, a lot about meat, of course. And most of the Wagyu education that we've been doing over the last year, two years, has really been about the Japanese black. And there are 4 different types of Japanese cows, right? There's the Japanese black, there's the red, the Akaushi, the polled, and the shorthorn. Now, you are very much into the Akaushi, and I was asking you all these questions about the black and everything. You're like, you know what? This is what I do. So I really wanted to talk to you about this, about the Akaushi, and get some more information to our beloved listeners, our fans, and really teach them about maybe some of the differences between the black and the red. Now, let's kick it off with a little bit of your story with legendary Akaushi, man. How did legendary Akaushi come to be, and how did you get into Wagyu?
So we're actually the 4th stewards of legendary, and I say stewards because we're super fortunate to have acquired the best collection of the original 13 animals that came over, from Japan. So we actually we call them the foundational animals. And
when was that?
Gosh, it's probably back in the early 90s.
Okay.
Right? In 1990, when it finally got released. There was actually a trade dispute that lasted for 2 years before the Japanese would actually allow the animals to be released.
Okay.
That's a story in of itself. But, Japanese were very, very, very proud, and rightfully so, of Akaushi, and they didn't want to release that outside of the islands. They wanted that. That was part of their heritage, and honestly, they didn't want to let go of it.
Yeah. So Akaushi, the Japanese red cow, right? So Wagyu means Japanese cow. That's what it translates to.
Right.
And when we've been talking about Wagyu, like I said, we talk mostly about the Japanese black because that's what's over here. What is it, like 95% of the Wagyu over here is Japanese black? That's a guess. Something about that, right? So Akaushi is the red. Now, what are maybe some of the differences that you see between the red and the black? Like why is it different? Why should people go out and search for Akaushi versus the Japanese black?
Well, there's primarily two reasons from the consumer standpoint that are forefront, and then a third. Okay, which I really like to get people thinking about. So the first is the taste. Okay, the taste profile on an Akaushi is significantly different than a black Wagyu. The marbling is more interlaced in the muscular tissue, and it's also more in balance. Okay, black Wagyu tends to have a very, very high fat content, and the ratio of fat to lean is higher.
Okay.
And then we get into the health benefits because the fat profile of the Akaushi is different than the fat profile of the black.
Okay.
Akaushi is actually much higher in monounsaturated fats, which produce the good cholesterol.
Yes, the good stuff. Yep.
As opposed to the artery clogging other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's been said that the profile of the fat, because it's very, very high in monounsaturates, is similar to salmon. So, there's a big health craze about eat more fish.
Yeah.
Not eat fish, just eat Akaushi. Okay.
That's true with all Wagyu. Am I correct? Like that is true with all Wagyu, the high in monounsaturated, the good CLAs. Yeah, Akaushi is even higher. Okay.
And it's got a different fat to lean profile than the blacks. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is the taste. It's a much more smoother, buttery, kind of rich taste that I find very, very favorable.
Wow.
The other thing, the blacks have been in the United States for quite a while, and they've been commercialized. So the herd is much more, I guess the black breeders would say diverse. Okay. There's a lot more genetic combinations than there is with the Akaushi because of the limited amount of Akaushi animals. I actually think that that's a positive for Akaushi for breeders that turns into a positive for consumers because they can really focus on the characteristics that they're trying to get in their taste profile and in fat content, and actually through breeding affect those profiles. Whereas with the blacks, it's very difficult because there's so much diversity in that genetic material. It's hard for them to figure out if I change this bull or this dam, and what's it actually going to do in the end. We're really working with a group of foundational animals that's limited to 13. Okay, we can tie it back to those original genetics, whereas with the blacks, there's thousands.
And would there be, even with the full blood black though, that would be full 100% genetics coming from Japan, correct? So
yeah, but there's so much of it, okay, and so many animals here in the United States. There's less than 20,000, red Akaushi, or reds as they're referred to, and there's less combinations. Okay, there's
not. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by less combinations?
So a combination would be a particular bull with a particular female, and then also as you go down line, there's the sons, the daughters, the grandsons, granddaughters, great grandsons, great granddaughters, great great great.
Yeah,
introduce different animals in each one of those lines.
Yeah,
okay, it creates different diversity in that genetic profile.
Okay,
and the reds are more stable. There's less diversity in that line. It's pure to the original that came over from Japan and what the Japanese had in mind when they engineered this experiment, over 100 years ago.
In the 90s, they also sent over about 200 animals, 200 Japanese blacks. Is there are the reds included in that? Do you know, or is it a separate thing?
No, it's actually a separate thing.
Okay.
And then what happened there was a group of animal scientists and investors went over and purchased animals, but the Japanese government wouldn't actually let them be exported. They purchased 12 animals, okay, and the Japanese government didn't want those animals to leave because of the heritage and the historic value and the cultural value of those animals. So it ended up being a trade dispute for almost 2 years, and it finally got down to the highest levels of government on both sides. And the U.S. basically said, there's a lot of Hondas and Toyotas running around here. And, do you really want to die on this hill over 12 cows?
Yeah. Might as well.
they prevailed.
Yeah, right? I mean, yeah.
And those animals, which started out as 12, had become 13, go figure.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, there were 13 animals that were brought across.
It actually came over. Okay.
Yeah, and that's actually what the legendary herd is. 13 animals in the subsequent offspring. And when we say that we're fortunate to be the stewards of that, we feel that that's a privilege and an honor, and something that we really want to take care of. So we're really big in the lineage and the scientific value and the breeding value of being able to tell what a particular combination actually performs. Is how does it perform in carcass traits? How does it taste? And, how does it do?
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, the Japanese black as well. There's a lot of data and
there's a wealth of data.
The same, yeah. Because I don't want people to think that like, oh, this is like, like we don't like the black, we like the red, but like all in all, like they're just very. I know you do. I like it all, but like they are different, and I think it's interesting to see the difference because a lot of people, if you ask the somebody who kind of knows a little bit about Wagyu, they would say that probably the Japanese black marbles better, and the Japanese red has got better. It grows. I don't say it grows better, but it has better meat and maybe even a better flavor of the meat. So like that's kind of like the.
I think you can really break it down. If you look at a black Wagyu steak, about the lacy appearance. Those that have looked at them online and so forth. I mean, it really looks like lace with all the marbling. The content. With the red, it's similar, but the amount of lean meat to fat, is a greater ratio. And that intermuscular marbling is still there, but it affects the flavor profile different. If you've eaten, an A5 black steak, it's hard for me to sit down and eat an entire ribeye.
Oh, no way. Yeah, you'd die.
It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
The reds are, I can't eat an entire red steak.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's more on a palatable side. Many people find it to be not quite as intense, as far as, that fat feeling. Okay.
And is there, does the Akaushi rate at an A5 level as well? Is there A5 Akaushi, or is it like it doesn't really get there because it doesn't marble quite like the black? Would you say that?
I don't know that the A scale has been applied, significantly. The amount of carcass data that's available on the reds is fairly limited compared to what you've got with the blacks. And it's something that we're absolutely trying to change. Have there been A5 reds? Absolutely. Okay. But, is there, can you go out and order an A5 red steak? No. Okay. Yeah. We just don't have the supply is not there to support, that type of, and the marketing hasn't been applied to it either.
Yeah.
But even what I'm trying to say, it's not as developed as the black market is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And why do you think that is? Because, when we say Wagyu, so many people, when you look it up online, it's basically like all Japanese black, and they don't talk a lot about the Akaushi. I just heard about it, about maybe a year ago, and I was like, I've read about it, but I hadn't heard people talking about it till about a year ago. Why do you think that is right now? I feel like it's starting to become more of it's starting to get out there a little bit more, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's because of the number of animals. It's the size, comparatively. One of the challenges when you're starting to get into a retail marketplace is that you have to be able to supply the demand that a particular reseller or outlet has.
Yeah.
So, when you're talking about black Wagyu, they've got national contracts with big outlets, okay, that demand, thousands of carcasses
Yeah.
a month, okay, to supply the market. And if you cannot supply that market, with enough carcasses, they're not going to take on your product.
Mm-hmm.
So the distribution for the black is well established because they have the numbers, where the distribution for the red is more curated,
yeah,
okay, and more localized. It's much more in the farm to fork, and local markets. You can't, Heart Brand did some work with some of the national chains, but they were actually selling F1s, okay, which are not full bloods; they're crossed with Angus.
Yeah,
and that's that was the big commercial introduction of Akaushi, as far as that goes. But the numbers have to come up in order to get Akaushi full bloods, in the marketplace, in your supermarket.
Yeah, yeah, and we talk to a lot of ranchers. I've been talking to the Akaushi ranchers and Japanese black ranchers, and a lot of them. A lot of the small ones, the ones that we like to work with, are that farm to fork. They're not. There are the big ones, of course, that are just, that are pushing the stuff out there. And we like to talk to, the smaller guys that actually, really, not to say that the big guys don't care about the breed, but I think put a little more quality and care into it, because it's a quality product. And so,
let me get back to one of the questions you asked about. What are the benefits to consumers? And I said there were three things, and that really dovetails into this question that you just posed. So the first one was taste, and then the fat profile and the health benefits.
Mm-hmm.
The third one really is the quality of the overall product. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We say everybody accepts the fact that you are what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And our animals are what they eat. So consequently, if we eat them, we are what they eat as well. Okay.
Yes.
We get into a lot of these big commercial operations and commercial producers. They're more concerned about quantity.
Yeah.
Okay. And operating costs.
Yeah.
And yield. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas, the farm to fork guy is, I want to produce the best possible food that I can and put it on my customer's table.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to give them, hopefully, the best quality feed, the right proportions. I'm going to take care of my animals. I'm going to give them range to roam and grow. Okay. Those two CAFO, type feeding operations. It may not be the most cost-effective way to do it, but it produces the best possible product, and also ethically. So the third advantage to the consumer is really starting to support those smaller regional operations that are more focused on partnering with the consumer to give the consumer the best possible product, okay, and to create a, what am I trying to say? Kind of a full circle process. I mean, consumers buy, but producers have to be able to survive as well. It's a symbiotic relationship. And if consumers start doing business and choose to do business with people that, raise animals ethically and, feed them right because they want that for their family and for their bodies, start producing, more revenue for the smaller farmer. And we move the needle, away from the big operators that have a separate set of priorities.
Yes. No, absolutely. And I, like I said, I think that's true. That's why we love Wagyu in general, because it is harder to raise. It takes longer. It's more expensive, and you can't rush it. And that's why we like to talk to people like you and people all over the U.S. that raise this, because it's you can't cut the corners, and there's so many people are saying the same thing that you're saying, that we got to, go to the farmer and let's go farm to consumer, because that really just supports the entire operation. That really helps the Wagyu farmer that is trying to make a great product for the plate, and it bypasses the large, the big meat corporations that are just
kind of ecosystem. I mean, it's an ecosystem and a set of economics that is to its own. And I'm super stoked about that. I think that's one of the biggest reasons that we got into it, was because there is a significant difference for the producer with Akaushi than there is with commercial cattle like Shirley and the US.
Absolutely. Now, you told me a story about the Emperor's breed. Why is Akaushi called the Emperor's breed?
Well, so Akaushi was actually reserved, for the Emperor and the Emperor's family and members of the samurai clan. Okay. It wasn't, released to the population at large. Really? It was actually reserved for it got to be called the Emperor's breed. Okay. Yeah. It was exclusive. Yeah. That there was probably a reason for that, but that's why it got the name the Emperor's breed.
Yeah. It was just for the Emperor.
Emperor's family and members of the samurai clan that protected the Emperor and the Emperor's family. I mean, in England, you had the beef eaters, right? Yeah. Not to compare Wagyu to the beef eaters beef of old, but the same concept. The best went to those that were part of the royal family or protected. Yeah. With the Emperor's breed.
So, like, from a rancher's perspective, what does the Akaushi cattle bring to the table that maybe gets overlooked by the broader Wagyu conversation?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. First of all, the life expectancy of these animals is 2x what a commercial cow is here in the United States. Yeah. So we actually, in our herd, we have an animal that's 22 years old that gave birth at 20, which is like unheard of.
Gave birth at 20?
Yes. We've got animals that are producing embryos that are 18, 19 years old.
Really?
Which is, again, unheard of. Yeah. So longer than an animal lives, if you're using it to, grow your herd and not harvesting it, 2x is 2x. Also, the hardiness of the animal. When I first bought this herd, it was living in Texas. And that summer was over 120 degrees some days. I brought it to Wisconsin. And within probably 60 days of them arriving from, 120 degree heat, they were at -0 temperatures. I had no loss that year. Wow. I mean, these animals just kept on trucking, like, hey, what's this? This is different, but they were fine.
Really?
Probably free. They also, the bulls are incredibly fertile. We can cover a lot more females with a single bull than you can with a commercial cow.
Wow. That's funny because there's so many rumors out there that Wagyu are infertile, that they're an infertile breed. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But that's,
and that's one of the things that we're kind of dedicated to. I came from a technology background and we're data driven. Yeah. And I really want to start putting some data metrics on this breed. Yeah. For consumers and for producers, so they can actually see how long does it take, to finish an Akaushi compared to a commercial cow. Yeah. It really doesn't have to be any different. It depends on what you feel and how you feel. Right? But we need to prove that. We need to do the study and create the contemporary groups and actually prove it. How fertile is an Akaushi bull? There's all kinds of urban legends out there and all kinds of stories, but nobody's ever, sat down and said, hey, I'm going to expose, this bull to 75 females exclusively and see how many they impregnate. And, it hasn't been done. We're going to do that. Yeah. We're in a position to do that. And I think that that's something, we can do for the breed and do for the community at large that I think is going to be very, very valuable. Then also, which animals marble better, which animals score better, how they convert on feed and water. So then the most important thing, from the rancher standpoint is the carcass score. So Akaushi are scoring, typically over 80% of them are scoring prime or prime plus.
Okay.
Yorkshire cow right now, the latest I saw was 11%.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you take Akaushi bull and put it on a commercial cow to produce an F1,
yep,
50-50, raise the carcass score on that animal on average of 15%.
Really?
These are, I throw out all these numbers, okay? But what I can't do is I can't put a scientific study in front of you to prove that. But that's what we're doing at Legendary. We're actually taking the time. We took 200 animals this year and started a study with different semen to just see, what is the carcass score on each individual bull and their offspring. Okay? So we can actually map that out and have proof, that this particular bull does better than this particular bull, and this particular bull average calf weight is this. This particular bull average calf weight is this. And these are this is the kind of information that modern producers really need to tune their herd and tune their profits. And that's what we're excited about producing for the.
I like that. And I guess educate me. I don't know this, but with the American Wagyu Association, is that primarily Japanese black, or does that cover all the Wagyu?
So American Wagyu Association is all Wagyu.
Yes. Okay.
There's the American Akaushi Association, which we're obviously members of that association. American Wagyu, association has its own clientele and its own set of standards and so forth, but they don't separate blacks from reds, and they haven't really put the back work in, to prove out the things that we're trying to accomplish. And I think that the Akaushi Association is a little bit more dedicated to verifiable and and also Akaushi.
Yeah, right. I mean, because I mean, with the American Wagyu Association, they have that data for a lot of the. I guess we've seen that data for probably mostly just the black Wagyu.
Correct.
But I guess I haven't asked, I guess, too, about the Akaushi, and if they had those first 13 animals traceable in when they came over. Did they have that information?
They have some of it.
Okay.
The producers that have been focusing on the Akaushi traditionally have not been working with the American Wagyu Association as much as they have the American Akaushi Association.
Yeah, I guess
American Wagyu does have some information, but it is not as well populated as the American Akaushi Association.
Akaushi, yeah.
And the American Akaushi Association just created a partnership with the Australian Wagyu Association.
Okay.
And when those two books come together, those two sets of data come together, there's going to be a lot more information available. And that is going to be an incredibly valuable, incredible, book of information and business that, producers are going to be able to rely on. On the commercial side of this, I mean, what does this mean to your consumer? I think what it really means is that the producers that really care, okay, and the ones that as a consumer I want to do business with, okay, are getting the best information that they possibly can to make the decisions that they can to affect their herd positively, to provide their consumers with the best possible product.
Yeah.
With a lot of the commercial associations like the American Angus Association and other folks like that, have a marketing side to them, okay, as well, as does American Wagyu, but they're more focused on promoting, promotion than they are. And this is just my opinion. They're more focused on promotion than they are necessarily providing contemporaneous data that breeders can really work with.
Really? Okay. I mean, I've seen a lot of the data. I'll push back on that. We work with them, and and we see a lot of the data from coming all the way back to the original animals that came over here from Japan, most specifically black.
They certainly have it, but it seems like the current focus is more on marketing the end product and marketing the association than it is building that data set. And that's coming from a data dude. Okay, I'm never satisfied with the data. You can always do more. Okay.
I'll leave that to you. Yeah,
that's why I like American Akaushi Association. Why I like the Australian Akaushi Association, because they're very, very focused on the data.
So, some people would say, that Akaushi maybe is more versatile in cooking. Have you, when you're cooking Akaushi, how does that differ? Can you tell that there's a difference when you actually cook it? What do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the fat content profile of it, it is a different cooking style. Okay. Yeah. My preference is sous vide. Okay.
You had sous vide.
Yeah, totally. I had some folks up to visit the ranch just before this podcast, and I grilled a ribeye and a strip for them, open on a grill. And it's different in lower and slower typically is better. Okay. Yeah. In my mind, and it really stands out with Akaushi.
Really?
That's why I love sous vide.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. We just did something on sous vide, and we were not bashing it, but we were like, it makes it easy, man. It makes it a lot easier. And
I gotta tell you, man, for a guy like me, it's a freaking godsend.
Well, yeah, you did something real crazy too, didn't you? Do some briskets, sous vide some briskets.
I did.
What the heck's going on with that? How long did that take?
I did a brisket for 36 hours.
36. Would you do it like a swimming pool or something? Like seriously, what did you use to get that thing in there?
I cheated. I cut it in half. I took the corner, I took the flat.
Yeah.
In separate bags, and I had a big ass pot, and I had conversion cookers.
Really?
I did it at 135 degrees.
Yeah.
36 hours, I think it was.
Wow, dude.
And then when it came out, when protein comes out of sous vide, it doesn't necessarily look the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks terrible.
Finishing it is really important. I
finish it.
I got my grill super hot.
Yeah,
I just let it get to top temp, and then I threw that thing on there, and it was like I had a 4th of July fireworks show, flames everywhere. I wish I could pull the picture up and show you on my screen. You'd call the fire department, right? In a matter of a couple minutes, I put it off, and it looked like it had been in a smoker for, days.
Yeah.
Beautiful crust. And then when you cut it open, oh my God. That is insane. And, it was cooked to, a medium perfection.
Really?
It was unbelievable. This is the thing about Akaushi, and honestly, I don't have the experience with the blacks, but I mean, I did a chuck roast, for my family 2 nights ago, same way. I mean, a chuck roast. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember mom buying chuck roast because she was raising 4 boys, and that's all we could afford. And you got through it, right?
Yeah, you got through it.
Yeah, we were boys and we were hungry, and
there
was some gravy and potatoes to go with it, right? Tell you what, man, this chuck roast was better than most meals I've had in restaurants. Given the Pacific Northwest, I'd have to give it up to you guys. I'm sure that but
oh yeah, we do some good stuff up here.
No, I mean, seriously, roast. What was the other thing? Skirt steaks. My God, you want to make some tacos?
Yeah,
out.
We love the skirts. Oh man.
Oh my God. And I'm a taco fanatic.
Yeah.
I'll taco anything.
I love it.
It was, either leftover, ribeye strip or whatever, or if I got a bunch of people coming over, we'll do the skirts. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
That's great. I mean, we always talk about the Wagyu skirts being, you can go to your butcher shop and get that for a great price. I mean, they're not that expensive, and I think that's one of the misconceptions that people always think about is, hey, when I buy Wagyu, I got to go to some fancy place and spend $100. No, I mean, you could buy a skirt steak for $25. That will feed 2-3 people, and it's going to be the best skirt steak you've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, come to certain websites that I don't want to plug, okay? But you can get roast for $12 to $15. It'll feed your family, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then ground beef is another thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a whole different, situation, and we've had to adjust some of our recipes a little bit.
Yeah.
You start doing, pasta dishes,
mm-hmm.
like that. You can utilize the fat in the meat, and maybe heaven forbid cut back a little bit on the cheese, but
no, we don't do that here.
So there's definitely a different experience cooking. It's not hard, okay? It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
It's fun to do something different and experience something different. I mean, I've been grilling, for probably 40 years now, and
yeah,
still learning, and this is just something new to figure out. But I'm loving it, and everybody that we serve it to, they always say, "When are you grilling again?"
Right?
Yeah.
No, I know. Once you try it, man, it's for us 80 Wagyu, man. Once people come into the butcher shop and they look at it and they get a little nervous, and then we're like, just take it, try it. It's not even that expensive, and they always come back and they're just like, dude, this is some of the best meat I've ever had. Because most people are used to just going to the grocery store and buying, a steak that looks okay, and for $20-$30, and taking it home and cooking it, and that's their steak. But if you want to go to the grocery store and buy a $30 ribeye, you can, but you could go maybe to a unique butcher shop and buy a $25 Wagyu skirt steak, and it's going to be 1,000 times better than that grocery store.
You buy or a strip, or a New York strip too. I mean, honestly, I don't think there is anybody that has ever tasted it that hasn't bought it.
Yeah, okay. Really.
This Sunday, I've got a chef and all the sous chefs coming up from a big name restaurant.
Yeah,
here where we are. They were at the farmers market, and we had a George Foreman grill.
Oh yeah,
right. And we were like whacking up some ribeyes and just putting a little salt and pepper on them right in front of people.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the product, a little salt and pepper, throw it on the grill for a couple minutes, stick a toothpick in it. I mean, the sous chef that saw us doing, he said, "All right, I'll try it." He tried it. He went and grabbed the executive chef, brought him back. You got to see this, and they're coming up and tasting. And I mean, this was in a week and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to put it in their restaurant. Maybe they're just coming up for a free lunch or something. But
but they love it, right? And have they tried Wagyu before, or is that one of their first experiences with Wagyu?
Not now, but they had never tried Akaushi.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Maybe we need to get them on a separate podcast, and they can do black versus reds.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. We should get somebody, we'll get like Arlie from Bar R, or somebody that does the black, and then somebody that loves the red. Yeah. We could do like a big conversation, because we're about promoting Wagyu in general, and we love all Wagyu. That's like so important to say.
We call it Wagyu roulette. Does it land on red?
Ooh, Wagyu roulette. That's badass. We should do something with that. So personally, I've never tried the red, and I know, yeah. And so I'm talking with
address.
Ken. I'm talking with Ken of Angie's Acres in Minnesota, and he's sending me some. We're talking to him in a couple weeks.
Beef like nobody's business.
Huh?
That guy can beef like nobody's business.
I hear everybody loves that guy.
Oh my God.
Everybody loves that guy. Yeah.
He's a freaking magician.
That's what I hear, and I'm excited to chat with him too, to learn more. But yeah, I'm totally interested in trying it out. And so with all Wagyu, right? You have your full blood, you have your purebred, you have your F1 cross, right? And that's the same thing with the red, right? Like is there F1 cross out there that is red, or is it mostly full blood, or what do you think about that?
It's definitely F1. The biggest influence is the F1, just because we can produce so many more of them. And the full bloods, people are kind of holding on to those and growing their herds, right?
Totally.
About what we're getting called. We and slaughter. We purposefully are calling harder and slaughtering more animals so we can get carcass data and get the product out there, so people can actually experience it. But
and you said you're harvesting them the same time as some commercial beef. Like when I think commercial beef, I'm like 14 months ish, 16 months. When you harvesting some of that red?
18 months.
18. Wow, that's like some of the earliest.
The producers that are listening, we're seeing hanging weights between 1,100 consumers too that buy buy beef on the hook. We're seeing carcasses 1,100 to 1,400 pound hanging weights in 18 months. Now,
really?
if you ever get Ken on a podcast, he'll tell you how to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Call him the magician. So,
so is it about the feed? We always have this discussion. It's about, we always think it's genetics is the baseline, right?
I think that there's more to it. And so what we do is our mama cows, they get as much pasture and as much space, as we can possibly afford to give them. Okay. And that's a lot. Okay. They get a lot of square footage per animal, or a lot of acres per animal. Okay. And then with the calves, we're very careful about what we feed the mamas, until those calves are weaned. Make sure that they get everything that they need through that milk. And then with the calves, we do the exact same thing. We give them the right diet, and we give them lots of room to run, play, and grow. And what happens is these animals don't turn into butterballs, because a lot of times when people are feeding animals, they turn into little, marshmallow butterballs. And, these guys get longer and they get, bigger, and they're a little leaner, and you let them go like that, for maybe a year. Okay. Right. And then you take that animal and put them on a finishing ration and put the poundage on. They finish faster, they'll finish better, they'll marble better, and you get a higher yield. So there's a science to that. And, Ken and I have had lots of conversations about this. He took a look at our weanlings and our yearlings, and he said, "You're doing something different, than the other animals." And he has decided that he wants to finish our animals for us, thankfully.
Wow. Okay. What about being docile, right? Like that's a major thing with the Wagyu. They're very docile, correct? Is it the same with the red?
For sure, yeah. So again, it's how you treat them. So you see the same thing with Angus, with our recips that we put embryos in. So we buy, getting off track here a little bit, but our recips come out of Colorado and Wyoming, and we buy them in herds of 100, 150. They're raised by cowboys on horseback. We don't have UTVs running around. Okay, they're quiet. So, the Akaushi are the exact same way. As soon as these animals are born and we give them lots of space, we introduce them to people right away. So my foreman's wife and his two daughters are walking through that herd every day. They're walking through a couple pastures with, pails of cow candy, molasses treats. Everybody. And that's the secret, just building a relationship and not being crazy around them. And they're incredibly docile. The one thing I will say about Akaushi is they're incredibly athletic.
Really?
Okay? Oh, yeah. I mean, your fitness have to be high and strong because they are athletes.
Really?
We first got them and didn't necessarily know what we were doing. We had a couple of roundup rodeos, because we had standard fences, and the girls just decided, nah, we're not sticking around here. We want to go over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're a little higher and a little stronger, but
wow.
That's not because they're not docile. They're just athletic and curious.
That's funny, dude. Yeah, you don't hear that very much. That's crazy. Yeah, I love it. Oh man. And so we kind of got into some of the health benefits of Wagyu in general.
The monounsaturated fatty acids and then the oil. That's really what provides that huge health benefit to the consumers.
Yeah.
And it's so different. It's so different than what's being produced by the big feed processors.
Totally different. Yes, I know. My mother always tells me to go on the Mediterranean diet and eat more fish, and I'm like, it's okay, Mom. I'm eating a lot of Wagyu. We're fine. We're healthy over here. We're health nuts. So I got to ask you this question: where do you see Akaushi fitting into the Wagyu landscape in the next 5 years?
I really think that the important thing for us to do is to create the irrefutable scientific data that we can show the producers to prove to them that this is a more profitable breed, because the end product is already proven. Okay, the consumers, once they taste it, they want it. Okay, so then what we've got to do is we've got to get the producers saying, well, how can I produce this effectively and efficiently, cost effectively, to switch from an Angus operation, to an F1 operation.
Yes.
We need to have the data to show them to do that. Yeah. I think within the next 2 years, we will have that data. And in 5 years, you will see a massive shift. I really believe this. When I tell the story about why Akaushi to people, I remember as a very, very young guy, and this was many, many years ago, a toothless woman on television going, "Where's the beef? Angus, 100% certified beef."
Yeah.
Wendy's commercial for podcasters out there.
Yeah.
I had never heard of Angus before. Okay. And after that commercial came out, maybe this is just me, but after that commercial came out, within a couple of years, everything was Angus certified. I mean, if you went to the grocery store and you didn't buy Angus certified, okay, you were doing your family a disservice.
Exactly right.
I honestly believe that Akaushi is the next Angus. Okay.
Yeah, really.
I think that, because it's great for the consumer, it's great for the producer. The producer can, put in the same inputs, the same amount of work, and get a better yield, a better dollar return, and provide a better product, better quality product, to consumers. So, when we talk about that ecosystem, once we get everybody hitting on all cylinders, consumers wanting it, loving it, understanding why they should eat it, producers loving it, wanting it, understanding why they should move to it, it is going to explode. Maybe not in my lifetime, probably not in the next 5 years, but I think that Akaushi is going to, take over the U.S. market. Go to beef.
That's
first right here on the meat.
We're calling it. Yeah, that's cool. No, that's interesting. And I mean, for us, like I said, Wagyu in general, if people are eating Wagyu, man, we're happy. And man, so if you had to, like, I don't want to, I'm trying not to pit them back and forth, because I think, like, when we talked about our grass-fed buddy down in Olympia, that River Valley Wagyu, he was like, I have grass-fed Wagyu, and it's for a different consumer. Like, it could be for a different day of the week. It's for a different consumer. And so, do you think that there's the Japanese black and the Japanese red? Do you think that there maybe are just different consumers out there, that maybe somebody's going to like the Japanese black more, someone's going to like the Japanese red more? Do you think that's the case? I know you're very much on the red, but
I think it's kind of like, do you like chocolate or vanilla?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that it's that distinct. But it's certainly distinct enough, at least from my palate. It's very distinct, and I think that there's lots of people that are going to just absolutely, love black, and I think that there are a lot of people that are absolutely going to love red. I think that the consumers haven't been exposed to red, and I think once they do, there's going to be a tectonic shift in the marketplace.
Yeah,
okay? But no, I think that they are different. I think it'll be consumer driven.
That's cool. I mean, I hope in general, I hope more people just are exposed to more Wagyu, because it is a better product. And I personally, I can't wait to try some of this Akaushi. Like I want to see if I can sit them side by side and really be able to taste the difference, And
there's no question. I mean, if you can't taste the difference, you're not a meat dude. I know you're.
It's crazy though. We'll have Wagyu, we've had it from all over the U.S. and it's really cool to even just taste the different terroir, like from Vermont to Montana to Wyoming to California to Washington. I can taste the difference in just those, just because of the terroir. So I am excited to see some of this red. Wine? It's just like wine, right? Yeah.
I mean,
that's such a great comparison, right?
Bordeaux, or is it from Sonoma?
Exactly.
They're fantastic, right?
Yes,
but they're completely different.
They're totally different. And I would drink one on Monday and drink the other on Tuesday.
Into that.
Yeah,
it goes to show that you are what you eat.
Yeah,
and when we're eating these animals, they are what they eat. That's why it comes through the flavor profile, and that's why conscientious people that understand feeding animals like Ken and Angie's Acres are so important. I mean, from Legendary standpoint, I would love to be in a position where we said Legendary Akaushi produced by. Okay. We provide the high quality genetics that people can build their herds off of, and then they put their spin on it. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna put peppermint in my feed. Peppermint isn't the thing. You need to go with give them a little chili pepper. Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever their spin is, or we've got artesian water and it's it works out better, or whatever their thing is.
That's cool.
We're in Wisconsin and we're in Nebraska, so we've got 2 regions covered. For our end users, but the diversity of what this product can be is as diverse as our country.
Yeah,
the people that produce it. I think it's a fantastic medium. For people to grow on, experiment with, and produce just a spectacular product.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you want to have those different, Legendary produced by, I think that, at the end of the day, just like the American Wagyu Association, everyone's trying to just promote this breed, because the more people that eat Wagyu, the better off, everyone's going to be in the industry, the better off the consumers are going to be, because they're going to be eating better meat. And hopefully we can just get some of this Wagyu, whether it's black or it's red, sprinkled into more herds throughout the entire U.S. right now.
Yeah, I think the real big shift here, you've got 3 or 4 giant producers that are producing most of the beef that American consumers are eating right now.
Yeah.
And their process and their product and their values are much different, than the people that we're doing business with, supporting in the growth of Wagyu, be it black or red. And I think that as the consumers experience that and understand that, they will fundamentally choose to move their spend and their consumption from that corporate environment to the more regionalized, localized farm to fork, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we can create that ecosystem. And you know what? That's how it was not too many years ago. Right?
Yeah. But it's hard, right? When big players get involved and money gets involved, it's hard to that's one of my worries. I always kind of like to ask that question is, when the big money gets involved, is there going to be a Budweiser of Wagyu? Is there going to be this huge corporation that comes in and takes it over and creates a maybe not as great as a product as like you or Ken or Plum Creek or Vermont Wagyu or any of the guys that we talk to that actually love, producing and feeding their communities and feeding straight to the consumer.
I'm going to give you a corollary story. So I was born and raised in, the Bay Area of California. And lived in the city. And, we got great produce because we were in California, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, I moved to the Central Valley, and my neighbor was Clancy and Dolores, and they had 200 acres, and they grew vegetables and fruit. And the bus stop for my kids happened to be right in front of their fruit stand. Okay. And I started helping Clancy on his farm as he got a little bit older and so forth. So every day the kids would come home with a bag of farm fresh, and it was the best. And I was ruined.
Right.
I thought I got good produce because I lived in California.
Yeah.
But when I got into the Central Valley of California and I got stuff that was right off the vine, right out of the ground, right off the tree, I can't eat produce from a freaking grocery store. Give me a Walmart banana. Okay.
Totally different.
it's cardboard.
Yeah.
And people think I'm an elitist prick. Okay, maybe I am, but I honestly believe that once consumers have that experience,
yes,
they are going to make the decision for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and as people become more and more conscious about food choices and taking care of their family and participating in an ecosystem that actually works,
yeah,
and supports everyone as opposed to shareholders.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure.
It's going to be a different world. And that's a world that I want to create. I want to live in.
Yes. And that's the world that when we talk to most of our Wagyu friends and producers out there, that's what they want as well, right? They want to feed that community. They know once people have it, they're coming back. And we see it every day in our butcher shop and in our restaurant. That's why we started this podcast, because we've seen this change. People are like, I'm coming right back for this. Like I can't eat steak anymore. I can't go to nice steakhouses because they don't have what you guys have. And it's a different product. It's a better product. It's product that is raised by people who really care. Not to say that all beef isn't raised by people who care. We know that it is, but it's a different process, and it's a different product. And you're starting with a lot better of a foundation with the Wagyu genetics than with an Angus.
Yeah, for sure. I totally believe that.
Yeah. And so, Steve, how can people find you at Legendary Akaushi? You got a website? Do you guys do straight to consumer? How does that work for you?
Yeah. So legendarybeef.com.
Legendarybeef.com. Okay.
Legendary Akaushi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you want, but actually we've got websites that link to each other, but legendarybeef.com is really easy to look at, and we might actually have an order form go out. Okay, because of shipping, we're trying to limit to the tri-state area at this point, because we want the product to get there within a day.
Yeah, shipping's tough, man. Ooh, I know.
But, there again, I went to FedEx, I went to UPS. This is the same corporate thing that we're talking about. We didn't fit their, mold, okay? But we went to Speedy Delivery, okay, which is the local guys that started up. They gave me a tri-state area, said, we'll get you overnight. We're not going to guarantee it, but we're going to get you there, okay? And a flat rate for a box up to 40 pounds is X. And it was like a third of what FedEx and UPS wanted. And so far, they've never missed.
Right.
Okay. So again, small regional company that, is a bunch of hustlers trying to, get out, make something and make it work.
Yeah.
I love that, and, I want to help them build their company because they're helping me build my company.
Yeah.
In our technology company, we've got a saying, we're only going to grow our business. Okay. We focus on growing our customers' business first.
Mm-hmm.
And in the genetics side, it's the exact same thing. We're only going to grow our business and grow Akaushi when we help the breeders and the producers, build their business. And for the consumers, we're only going to grow our business by giving them the best experience that they've ever had on their table.
Absolutely, man. Couldn't have said it better myself, man. I mean, people are going to go crazy, man. I love it.
I think one of the last things I'd like to say wrapping up is that because these animals take so long to produce, not take longer, okay, but it takes a long time to grow a cow.
Yeah.
9 months of gestation, and then, whether it's 18 months or 24 months or whatever, I mean, that's 3 years or 2.5 years before you get to the table. What a lot of our producers are experiencing now is they go through this process like, well, how am I going to sell the meat? They start selling meat, and all of a sudden, I don't have enough meat. Okay. Yeah. I've got customers signing up for the animals that are going to get slaughtered in 3 months. Okay. Yeah. They're pre-selling. And now we're in a situation where we're focusing on helping them grow their herds, so they can fill their pipeline and fill that up. That's a really, really, really great problem to have. Okay?
It is, yeah.
I would say for consumers now, if you have an opportunity to try Akaushi, try it, and then get on that list, okay? And, get your supply handled,
Yeah.
Somebody that's a reputable producer and make them your best friend, because they are your best friend that you don't know yet.
They will be. So, man, Steve, legendaryakushi.com, man. I mean, thank you so much today for kind of explaining what Akaushi is, and giving us all these tips on how to cook it and why it's a little bit different. And I'm excited to try it, man. I'm excited to try it. So I'm waiting for Ken's shipment here.
It's not there tomorrow. Call me. I got a care package.
Yeah, perfect, man. So, like we say, you might like the black, you might like the red, but you should definitely jump in on this Akaushi train and give it a shot, because the more that I'm talking to people, man, the more I'm like getting my mouth's watering a little bit. I'm like, I want to try this too, because I think there is a little bit different, man. And I want to get in there and experience both and have my choice of Wagyu every single night of the week, because that would be my dream.
Yeah, eating Wagyu is a beautiful thing. Just make sure you're eating Wagyu. Okay,
yeah,
it's not something that somebody put a label on.
Just not. Yep, exactly. Go through a reputable place, man. Well, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it, and we'll wrap it up for the meat dudes, Kent and Steve, Ken, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.